everyone, welcome back to my channel. To my new subscribers, I see you, I'm grateful, thank you for joining the family. And to everyone who has already subscribed, you guys are amazing. Today we'll be making some very delicious flaky Ghanaian meat pies. So to do that, we are going to start by heating up about 2 tablespoons of oil, and then we'll add our minced beef. Mix it up and let it cook for a little while. At this point, I'll add some chili pepper for a little heat, some garlic powder, some white pepper, and then mix that up. I'll also be adding some salt. Okay, so just add spices and things you really like most in here, and that would do it. And now I'm going to go in and add my carrots and potatoes. Because the potatoes and carrots take a bit longer to cook, I'll give those a head start before I go in with my onions later on in the video. Also added just about a 1/4 cup of water to help this filling cook up well and to keep it moist also. At this point, I'm going to be mixing some water and flour together, and then I'm going to add that to my minced meat and everything else, and this is just going to thicken it up real nice. I'll let that cook for a little bit, then I'll put that aside to cool down whilst we work on something else. Now I'm just going to chop up my cold butter straight from the fridge, and then I'll measure out 5 cups of all-purpose flour. And today for mixing this dough, I'm going to be using a food processor instead of using my hands. This is just another way to do it, and it's much easier, but then I'll finish it off with my hands. So to that, I'll be adding some black pepper, which is optional. I'll add some salt and some baking powder, and I'll also be adding a pinch of nutmeg just to give it that nutmeggy flavor. It makes everything taste even better. Next, we'll go in with the chopped up butter. This is still very cold. That's exactly how you would need it, and this is why I need a food processor. I didn't want my hands to be all in that butter and flour mixture. I just wanted the food processor to do the hard part for me, then I'll go in and do the easy part. Okay, so at this point, I think the processor has done the majority of the hard part, and I'm just going to pour that into my mixing bowl, add an egg, and then I'll also add a few tablespoons of milk, whole milk, and I'll give that a mix. I'm still stalling using my hands. I want to mix this with a spatula as much as possible. At this point, I can no longer use a spatula, so it's time to really use my hands. I'm going to pour that onto my silicone mat, and then I'm going to use my hands to bring everything together. And just like that, we are done making this pie dough. So I'm going to cover it up with a cling wrap, and I'm going to pop that in the fridge for about 30 minutes whilst I do a little bit of cleanup. And it's been 30 minutes now that is out of the fridge, and then I'm going to partition the pie dough into smaller sizes, just good enough for me to roll them up. And now I'm going to work on these one after the other. This is the first one. I make sure I have my surface really floured up because this pie is flaky and you don't want it to stick on the surface. So the flour is just going to help you to get it off easy. To get my pie into shape, I use the lid of my air cooker. It does it perfectly for me. You can also use anything you have in your home that will shape this up very well. You can actually purchase a pie cutter which would cut it up perfectly and shape it up for you. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you once more how I go about this. So I cut it into shape, then I put a good amount of filling in there, and I always make sure the surface is well floured up. Then because this pie is super flaky, I use my cake scraper to lift the other side up so that I don't break it up. And then I use my knuckles or my fingertips to make those shapes on the pie just as shown in the video. Next, I'm going to make a quick egg wash. I use 1 egg and some milk. At this point, I will also be perforating some holes on top of my pies. This will help it release any steam whilst in the baking process and help it cook perfectly. And now I'll also be brushing my egg wash on top of my pies. This will just keep it looking good and glossy. And boy oh boy, look at these perfectly baked flaky Ghanaian meat pies. They turned out absolutely delicious like they always do. Now let's see how this looks on the inside. It's so easy to break into. That's how flaky it is and that's how good it is. And see, look at all that good filling. Alright guys, we've come to the end of another video. I hope you try this recipe and I hope you like it. See you soon in the next video. Take care everyone.